Hello, let's do a 24-hour readathon. As you can see, I have a good stack of books here. I have no intention of going through all of them in the next 24 hours, but these are some options. So what I've decided to do is for the next 24 hours, I am just going to read as much as I can. This is going to be for a 24-hour period, not for a 24-hour time. So it's just going to be a day. It is currently Thursday. I'm not quite sure what day, maybe the 9th. And I'm going to be doing this from 9:30 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. on the Friday. And I'm just going to see how much I can read. I will be sleeping because I'm too old to not sleep. I might try and tactically nap and then try and stay up later and then have a sleep in the morning. It's 9:10, so I've got about 20 minutes. So I thought I would film this intro, run you guys through some of my options, and then talk about what we're actually potentially going to be reading. So this is the stack of potentials. So let's go through them. I have a book on my Kindle, app that I'm 70% through, so that's something that I will probably pick up through the day. It's a book called XOXO, I think by Christina Lee, I think the person's name is. I kind of just picked it up because I needed a book with X and it was free on my Kindle Unlimited. It's okay. It's quite very simply written and it's quite telly, not very showy, but it is a little queer romance story about two guys in college, and yeah, it's easy enough to read, so that's kind of why I'm reading it. I'm 70% through now, so I will finish it. I have many manga that I could read. These 4 in particular are ones that I will try and read over the next 24 hours, just because I'm working through my bingo board kind of row by row, and so I've done 1 so far on the 9th, 1 volume of manga, so I need to try and catch up. So these 4 over this next 24 hours would be lovely. I managed to get the audiobook out for Jane Eyre from my library, so I will probably listen to this a lot. I'm going to be using audiobooks over the next 24 hours, so Jane Eyre will be listened to. I do also have the Shatter Me book 1, out that I'm listening to. I'm about 4 hours into that, so that will also be listened. So every time that I'm not physically reading, if I'm doing other bits, I'm going to be trying to listening to audiobooks throughout this time. So Jane Eyre is for my physical TBR for this month, so I would like to read this. But Shatter Me is not on my TBR this month, but I still am into it, so I could listen to that as well. But they are the 2 audio options. I'm about 190 pages into A Storm of Swords, so I will read a little bit of this today, but this is not going to be my main focus physically for the day. My main focus is going to be The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I have a challenge from my TBR game to read this in a day. Now, I put this on because I am halfway through. I would not have put the whole thing on. So I have, I think, about 280 pages that I need to read in a day. So why not do it in a 24-hour readathon? So this is going to be my main priority physically for the day. It will probably take me about 6 hours to read based on my current reading speed. Other options, we will see. I am going to be trying to change up the format to try and keep engaged, keep my eyes engaged. My eyes already feel a bit dry and tired, so I might put some eye drops in them. Don't know why they do. It is not even 9:30 yet. This will be the main read for the day, and everything else we'll just see. We'll see how we get on, and I'll keep you updated through the day. I was potentially going to go out for a bit of a walk. If I do go out for a walk, I will listen to an audiobook, but I was also potentially going to go to a coffee shop, but it's raining, and I don't know if I can bother to go out if it's raining, so we might just be holding this for the day. So there are options. I've got my coffee. I'm just going to go make myself some breakfast, have breakfast and eat that before 9:30, and then I'm just going to crack on and see how we go. So I'll keep you updated as the day goes on. So it's currently 3 o'clock, if you can see that, and I feel like I've not read a lot, but I have been consistently reading. I have 100 pages left to read of The Final Empire, so I've read about 200 or just under 200 pages, and it's been 5 hours. I have though also listened to a fair bit of my audiobook, and both Jane Eyre, I listened to a chapter of Jane Eyre, and then I have listened to a little bit of Shatter Me while I was doing other bits, so I have been consistently listening. I've maybe put my book down for 5 or 10 minutes here and there, but I've otherwise been consistently reading or listening to something. It just doesn't feel like I'm making as much progress. I do think this book is taking me longer to get through than I thought it would, which I guess isn't really surprising because high fantasies do, and the pages are pretty full in terms of content, although I don't find it hard to read in any way. It's just obviously there's a lot that goes into it, so I do think it is taking me maybe slightly longer than my average reading pace to read. We are 5.5 hours into the readathon, and I'm still feeling good. I might go make myself another coffee. I haven't decided actually. I might make myself another coffee now, or I might go for a nap. Those are my 2 options. And then, yeah, I am probably now just actually going to try and binge the rest of this. I definitely will get this finished today because I need to for my extra points, but also it's like the last 100 pages, so everything is now kind of building up and coming to a head, and I'm really enjoying it. I do think this book for me is going to end up being about a 4-star. I've really enjoyed it, and I think the world building is really cool, really intricate, really unique, and I do really like the characters and pretty much all of the characters. It's just not really consistently been like one that I've been like, I just can't put down. Like if I wasn't having to read it in a day, I could easily put it down and then pick it up again later on. Whereas like, I think for me, a 5-star needs to go kind of above to the point where I'd be like, I just can't stop reading this, which is why sometimes books that I do rate 5 stars are ones that necessarily aren't as maybe well written or have like as expansive of like a world building, but it's kind of like a mix between like my enjoyment of them and also the quality of the book that kind of go into my rating system. I don't also know if I 100% even know my own rating system. It's just kind of on what I feel when I read it. But yeah, this is probably going to be a 4-star unless these last 100 pages are like incredible. It is about 3 o'clock, so I'm going to carry on reading this. So I'm hoping to get this finished by 5. I'm planning on just sitting and kind of reading this for the next 2 hours. I might go and grab some food though, because I'm a little peckish, but then I am probably just going to be moving on to something else. I'm not even sure what I'm going to be moving on to because I kind of thought I'd have this done by now-ish maybe, but I haven't, so yeah. I probably will listen to a bit more of an audiobook later. I do have a bit of a puzzle that I want to do, so I'll listen to an audiobook probably while I do that. And then I also actually probably should do some form of housework. I think I have ironing I need to do, so I could listen to an audiobook for that as well. But I'm going to carry on reading this. Actually, I'm going to go get myself a coffee, carry on reading this, and get this done. And then I'm going to move on to something else, but I will update you when this is finished. 100 pages left, and it's, yeah, getting to obviously the kind of the big showdown, I guess. Yeah, I'm on page 546, and there is 643. So I'm gonna go and finish reading this. So it's about 6:20. I have finished The Final Empire. I did have a bit of a break. My sister got home from work, so we hung out for a bit. So then I finished this. So it took me longer than I kind of wanted it to. I did have a little bit of other stuff going on as well, but I have finished it, which is really nice. This was the main goal for the readathon. So this is finished. Got it finished in a day, which is lovely. I ended up really enjoying it. I do think, yeah, I'll give it a 4-star. There was lots of twists and turns at the end, especially in the last chapter. I did kind of have something of the ending, or like a reveal that happened at the end figured out. Not the whole thing, but I wasn't overly surprised by that turn, but there were definitely surprises in the ending that I wasn't expecting. I am going to continue on with the series. I'm excited to continue on the series. It probably won't be till next year now, but I will make it a bit of a priority next year to kind of carry on with the series. But yeah, it was really good, and so I'm very, very happy that I have finished that. So let's talk about what I intend to read for the rest of the challenge, at least tonight. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do in terms of sleep. I am going to sleep at some point, but I'm going to try to not sleep like a full night's sleep. So I think I'm going to continue on with XOXO, which is on my tablet. I am 75% of the way through. I'm on page 209 out of 281, so I could easily get that finished today as well. I kind of like the idea of getting this second book finished, so then I have had 2 books finished, and then also just maybe reading a bunch of manga towards the evening when I'm feeling a bit more tired. It's not quite as many words, no manga to read. So that's what I think I'm going to do. See, 6:30 now. I don't even know how long that is. We're not even 12 hours yet through into the readathon. So yeah, I will be listening to an audiobook in a bit. I'll be cooking dinner in a bit. It's pizzas. I'm putting pizzas in the oven, so it's not really cooking. So I will be putting on my audiobook while I do things like that. But yeah, so I'm going to sit, read some of the book on my Kindle, and then yeah, I'll update you guys in a bit. So we have come to the end of my 24-hour readathon. It is 9:30 on Friday the 10th. I ended up going to bed last night, I think about 2:30, and I had the intention of trying to wake up a bit early, but I ended up not starting reading until 8. So I don't think I got as much done in this 24 hours as I kind of wanted to, but I did also get a good amount done, so I'm happy with that. I'm not actually very good at vlogging like daily, so I don't know how much content there even is going to be in this 24-hour reading vlog. It might be quite a short one. I ended up not doing stuff, I think, for about 4 hours yesterday. I had dinner and then kind of just hung out with my sister a bit in the evening, and then I did have like an hour I was lying in bed like scrolling through YouTube or whatever, but I did manage to get some stuff done, so I thought I would talk about what I did actually read. The main thing that I wanted to get read was, I did get read, and that was The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I only had 280 pages of this to read, so I did read the 280 pages. I ended up really, really enjoying this, and like when I finished it, I said I enjoyed it, but I've kind of just still been thinking back on it, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I think just the world building, the magic was really, really cool and really unique and like nothing I've ever read before. And I haven't read tons of like adult high fantasy series. I read more YA fantasy, but I'm slowly trying to like dip my toes into adult fantasy, especially more like high fantasy. And so this just really gave like kind of really made me want to carry on reading that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't intend to carry on with the series until next year, just because I do have some stuff that I want to read for December, but I'm really excited to carry on the series and see where it goes. And so yeah, I managed to get 280 pages of this done. Took me longer than my normal reading speed. I think I was probably about 40 pages an hour, maybe slightly less, but that's fine. I really enjoyed it regardless, and it was such a like continuous read. It wasn't like a gripping, I don't want to put this down, but it wasn't like a get to the end of a chapter and like, oh, I just want to break. It was like easy and great. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I then finished reading XOXO by, I think it's Christina Lee. This I had 25% left, which I think was about 70 pages. It was 280 pages overall. This book was okay. It's an adult NM romance book, and I really think the only kind of reason it wasn't adult was because it had like explicit sexual content in it, because otherwise it read quite juvenile to college students having some college drama, and the kind of college drama and such felt very juvenile. It felt like high school stuff. It should have been like high school drama and not something that would happen in a university. And also the writing was a bit like telly and not really showy. I probably wouldn't have continued it if I didn't need an X book. I'm trying to do like the alphabet in reading books, and so I needed an X, and so I saw this on my Kindle, so I thought I'd read it. Like, I didn't have a horrible time reading it, but it was just quite simplistic in its writing style, and it didn't give me anything really overly unique. And I think sometimes the writing felt a bit like kind of fan fiction-y, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just, you know, if I'm reading fan fiction, I'm going to read about couples that I know, not made-up couples, if that makes sense. But I read it regardless, so, and I did finish that, so I was happy at least to finish that. I listened to about 4 chapters of Jane Eyre. This is going to take me ages to get through. It is so dense, and like 4 chapters, I think is about an hour or something, but it's only like page 33. It's going to be quite a long ride that I'm going to have to now like pace out over the next 20 days, because I do want to get this done this month, and I am actually quite enjoying it. So in my head, I kind of put the Bronte sisters on the same, I guess, time frame period as Jane Austen. I don't 100% know if that's true. So I was kind of expecting this to be Jane Austen-esque. It is not. Jane Austen obviously writes romances. I don't even know if this kind of falls under a romance category, but it's quite dark at the beginning in terms of like Jane Eyre's treatment has been quite harsh and it's a bit sad for her as a character. She's like a 10-year-old girl in this at the moment and not very well treated by the people that are looking after her. But I'm going to carry on with this throughout the rest of the month. But yeah, I only read listened to 4 chapters of this. I read 1.5 manga and that was it. So I read Cutie and the Beast. This was cute and I did like this. However, she's 18 and he's 29. And I don't know how I feel about that age difference. And I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on with the series, or if I do, I might see if it has a Kindle release, because I'm not 100% sure if I'm that bothered about owning them because of the age thing. And also, she's his fan, and that also for me is a bit in terms of relationships, because it feels like there's a bit of a power dynamic there with the age and her being a fan of his. He's a pro wrestler, I guess. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how I thought about this. And then I'm about halfway through De Grey Man Volume 1. So far I'm enjoying this. This is a lot more text heavy than Cutie and the Beast. Cutie and the Beast is a kind of romance series. This is a action adventure series, but I'm enjoying this so far. So yeah, I've got this much left to read, which I will finish today. The art in this is really stunning, and so far I am really enjoying the story. So yeah, we'll carry on with this. And then I've read 1 chapter of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I think it's called. Yeah, I read 1 chapter of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. That's going to be the next ebook that I'm going to be reading. That's by Brandon Sanderson. I'm not 100% sure. I've only read 2 chapters from, I guess, both of the protagonists that I assume the book's going to be about. And I'm not sure about what the narrator is in this book, or who the narrator is, because sometimes it breaks out into having in brackets, using a different perspective than it is in the rest of it. So I think that's going to be something I'm going to have to figure out as I go on. So I'm not 100% sure about that. But I read a chapter of that. And then I listened to 5.5 hours of the Shatami audiobook. I started listening to it on 1.75 and then I went up to 2.5 speed. The audiobook time was 5.5 hours, but it did not take me 5.5 hours to read it. I rated this 3 stars. I do like YA series, but I'm not sure I loved this one. I have put the second audiobook on reserve for my library. It wouldn't be available to me until next March. So I think I'm going to leave it at that and just kind of see how I feel about it when it comes up available to me. The story was interesting towards the end, and I like the kind of idea of the concept. It's a dystopian, which I kind of thought was going to be a fantasy. That's on me. I don't think it set up the world in a great way for a dystopian, because our main character is kind of separated from the world at the beginning. It didn't really flesh out much of the world building. She went from technically being in a jail to then being housed in a luxury home. So you didn't really get a sense of how the world actually was. I have also heard people that like this series, and I don't know if this is going to come into fruition, because it didn't in this book, but people really like Aaron Warner, and here people think he's the shit, and I think he seems like an awful person. And obviously I assume if that's going to be the case in the next couple of books, he's going to be humanized in some way. But there was something he did in this book in terms of with a toddler that I thought was disgusting, and I'm I don't know how in the next 2 books, if he potentially becomes a love interest, I don't know if he will, I'm going to root for that because he was a dickhead. So I'm not 100% sure how I felt about it. I might carry on listening to it next year, like I said, when it comes available to me, but I'm going to give it some time to sit and I'll see how I feel at the time. But I did manage to get 5.5 hours of that listened to. Not actually in whole a lot of stuff, but also I finished 3 books and read a manga and a half. So I mean, I have read some stuff. It just felt like I was, in my head, I was like 24 hours, I'll be able to get loads read. But I didn't get as much read as I thought I would. But I still enjoyed what I read, which is what counts. So yes, I do want to do another 24-hour readathon, probably timer method as opposed to this method. I think I'd do better on timer method to see how much I can actually read in a 24-hour period, but according to like time. So yes, that's the end of this video. I don't know how much, like I said, how much I actually managed to film. When I have done reading vlogs before, they've been over a few days, so like there's more footage, but I just don't vlog that much when I'm just a day, so we'll see. But thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you again hopefully soon.